For Hillary Clinton, the road to the White House, it starts this Sunday, at least officially. That's when she's supposed to announce her campaign with a video released on social media. Andrew, help me with why.
Why on social media?
Well, listen, President Obama, how do you announce his campaign? A huge event in Springfield, Illinois here, talking about Lincoln and everything with giant crowds here. How did your good friend Mr. Cruz do it, right? He had a whole setup event. I kid because I care. My point is, I think this sounds like a small, low-rent thing from the most high-profile, well-funded candidate.
I think there's a couple of different factors in play. She doesn't want to approach this the way she approached it in 2008, which was sort of supposed to be a coronation. She just figured she was going to waltz to the nomination in 2008, and they approached it very much like that the last go around. So I think she's trying to get some separation from that. I think she doesn't want to face the media immediately. She would like to control the environment in which she gets her first questions on the campaign trail. We saw from her press conference at the UN that didn't go particularly well, so I think she's trying to ease her way back into it. And she's also going to be, and I'm checking my math very quickly, I think she's going to be the oldest candidate in the race. And so to do this with a video on social media and shows that she's hip to it, and it lets her craft her message a little more directly, I think it's the confluence of those three things.
I get it, but Scott, aren't campaign announcements, you get to pick the environment, you get to pick the venue, she could have been surrounded by young women or something that she could have picked the setting for, like everybody else does, and set the narrative for it, at least one day win the message. She still is going to be the big story on Sunday, but my only point is, she didn't have to go on 60 Minutes to do this and get grilled. She could have done this on her own terms.
She could have, but it's the anti-Cruz approach. I mean, she wants to be seen as a regular gal. And you know what I think is funny, because if you meet her, I think she's very engaging.
I haven't met a person who knows her and worked for her that doesn't like her, and how rare is that in politics?
It is. I mean, she looks at you, and but she doesn't do as well, you know, in that kind of crowd
on the
situation.
Retail side, which you would never expect.
You'd never expect. She's very good, and on that one side. But here I think he's right on. Andrew's got this pegged. She wants to be common, seen in a common forum. Young people are going to be very critical to this, and she wants to move those progressives over to her side. She's got to do that. I think it's a strategy.
It's brilliant. When you think about it, and I think this is exactly what she did in 2008 in terms of a video, or at least when she was running for the Senate. Richard, okay, if you don't think this is smart, remember what happened to Jeanine Pirro when page 10 popped up missing? When you're in a live, and that dogged her the entire campaign, when you're in a
Dominic, you had to try to screw it up that bad.
Okay, but
you can count your pages,
okay,
all right?
But things happen. When you're in a live situation, you no longer control the environment. And let's remember,
she's going to have to be live throughout the whole campaign,
but wait, Richard, you want to come out the gate in a very positive way. This is not Ted Cruz or any of the others. Everything Hillary Clinton does, the entire media of the world is watching. So you control the environment.
All right.
It's very, very
She
smart.
doesn't need to introduce herself the same way that Ted Cruz or Rand Paul or whomever need to. I mean, everybody knows who Hillary is. So she gets to be the retail politician that you were talking about, just one-on-one with the camera.
What if protesters snuck in? That's a real issue. And I know from having worked with her on a debate, that's a real issue for Hillary Clinton. Protesters get in there, that becomes as much the story as her. No, this way she controls the environment.
I want to get to what's going on as we speak right now, because it's the NRA convention in Nashville. Now, the gun rights group, this isn't an annual event, but what to me is beyond galling is the hypocrisy. Now, the group here is disarming all of the display weapons. The NRA, they want to have guns, and they've advocated and they've campaigned against candidates who don't want to have guns in bars. They want guns on college campuses. They want guns in schools. They want guns in churches. They want guns in national parks. But when you go to the NRA convention, you're not allowed to have a gun. You're going to have to go through a background check if you want to purchase a gun there. All things that they won't allow anyone else to do, but because they don't want to have it for whatever security reasons that their own, the hypocrisy is just too rich.
But we need to be careful here. The New York Times had an editorial on this, but apparently it's not accurate. Now, I only get this hearsay, so I'd bow to you if you know, but what they're saying is the only place that the guns are not allowed at the convention are in the music hall area because it does not want them there. That guns are allowed in the center, and I've forgotten the actual name of the center. Yes, guns on display, and according to Tennessee law, have the pins taken out. Yes, they need a background according to Tennessee law, but according to the article I read prior to your show, it said the actual convention center, anybody who is legally allowed to carry may carry them in the convention center.
Letting facts get in the way of good story. Thank you very much for that. That said, my point is, they're still at a location where you're going to have a background check to get a gun, and I'm not hearing them screaming and hue and cry over this. Well, and I also think, call me cynic, Andrew, but there's the optics. They don't want to have a situation where somebody shoots somebody at the convention.
First of all, the Tennessee legislature really tried to loosen up the gun laws in advance of this conference. They wanted to make very welcome the members of the NRA who came there, and not all of it was successful, so they were stymied somewhat. But yeah, it's the optics, and we've all been to different conventions of one form or another, whether it's a political convention or a class reunion or whatever the case may be. People tend to get their party on a little bit. People tend to get a little bit heated. People tend to lose control of their faculties. Can you imagine the headlines if there was, you know, a series of people shooting themselves in the foot by accident, or if there were fights at the concession stand and somebody pulls out a gun? I mean, that's contrary to every image that the NRA is trying to.
Except my only problem with that, Dom, is if they want to make sure that everybody can have guns everywhere, and they're concerned about the image and the possibility about some idiot shooting up the place while they're there, it does scream a little bit of hypocrisy.
It does, but I agree with Andrew's assessment. I mean, I hear you. They're total hypocrites. I mean, we already know that, but if you look at it from their agenda, it would be the biggest public relations nightmare ever for the NRA if two yahoos get into a fight and start shooting each other.
I don't know why you're pointing at me when you're doing that, but okay. All right.
Myself.
Thank you, yeah. Interesting conversation when we come back on the other side. 150 years ago this week, it marked the end of the Civil War. But is the United States really that united? We're as balkanized as ever, many would argue, including yours truly. And we're still fighting some of the same battles now that we fought more than a century and a half ago. We're going to explain where we are and how we got there as well. Stay with us.